Hello, everybody, and welcome once again. We're here tonight, round 12 of the OSCA Truck Series. It's the Cystic Fibrosis Awareness 114 here at Texas Motor Speedway. I'm your host, Michael Goodman, and joining me tonight, as always, is Kenneth Bueno. And tonight, Kenneth, we're at the Lone Star State. We're in the final race before we get to the cutoff of the Championship 4. I was going to say there's going to be a shootout here tonight, but as we kind of heard last week with this the new Texas configuration, you might have to holster those guns a little bit because 1 and 2, they might not. It's a little more flat in those corners, and you might have to kind of keep your guns in check, take it easy, and finesse yourself around turns 1 and 2, and it should lead to some interesting racing here tonight.
It definitely will, Mike. And for one, we saw the sentiment, or at least heard the sentiment from a lot of drivers that weren't really excited about this configuration of the Texas Motor Speedway. But nonetheless, I mean, they still have to deal with it. And for many, this will be a very crucial night. We had our Phoenix race last Wednesday, but tonight is the biggest step if you want to be part of the Championship 4 coming to Kentucky in about 2 weeks' time. We have 8 drivers running for this title, still in contention. The top 4 will walk out of here with a chance to win the championship overall, but it's going to be how they handle things tonight, and especially I think if we're getting the puns underway at Texas, got to pull the guns out now, got to be the fastest in the Wild West.
Yeah, we're in the 8 shooters, going to go down to 4 here shortly as you look at the playoff picture. And so far, Gerald Campbell, Vincent Isabella, Blake Barney, and Westergreen all in that position to advance in the playoffs. As you see the grid there for the playoff picture, and it's going to be interesting here. Again, we can take a look also at the configuration of this speedway here in Fort Worth, Texas, 1.5 miles, but this is going to bring some unique challenges here tonight as we're talking about turns 1 and 2 being banked 20 degrees. It's different from what 3 and 4 is at the more traditional 24, and that's what the track originally opened up with back in 1996. Well, it's gone through many configurations, so it's always kind of hard to keep up with Texas. I feel like Texas has been one of those tracks that has gone under a lot of revamps. I believe even in its first year hosting a cup race back in 1997, they had to tear the track up because of the transitions from the straightaways to the corners. So you know, hey, for the people that don't like this configuration of Texas, and a lot of, again, the consensus last week, people weren't looking forward to it. But knowing how Texas is, hey, maybe give it another couple years, it might change again. Who knows? Might be a short track.
Yeah, and for one, we saw what Texas Motor Speedway was. It was a completely different venue before they revamped it back in 2017. And when they had the older configuration, it was a lot more bumpier. The track was a lot wider. You can run up the wall if you wanted to. But now with this reconfiguration, it pretty much made the bottom the most powerful part of this racetrack. And if you especially want to get around here in the trucks that don't necessarily have that much power and have a decent amount of downforce and can take a while getting around here, especially almost full throttle all the way around this 1.5 mile track, it's going to be even tougher to try and grapple for that bottom position, especially when you're battling for a position. But one thing to know here, Mike, also, you talk about the different ends of the racetrack. It's about 20 degrees in 1 and 2 and 24 degrees in 3 and 4. So you're looking at probably 1 and 2 being a lot more slower. We're going to see drivers maybe on the brakes, off the throttle a lot more, trying to save their tires in there. And then 3 and 4 is going to be tough to really keep the truck straight, getting very loose out of the corner, and especially just trying to maintain that high speed and momentum. So while we'll probably see a lot of pack racing, Mike, I think 1 and 2 will probably distinguish as the one that'll separate probably the best from the rest.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens for sure. There's going to be at least a little bit of braking for sure with these trucks, a little less power, as you said, going through the flatter 1 and 2. But getting through that could be what separates this pack racing that we've traditionally seen here in the OSCA Truck Series at 1.5 miles. And tonight, again, for the Cystic Fibrosis Awareness 114, we have 2 halves here tonight, 38 laps in each. The start time for the first one is going to be 5 p.m. sim time, the second one 8 p.m. sim time, and the top 6 will invert. But with that, it looks like we'll head to the starting grid here for the Cystic Fibrosis Awareness 114, and on the front row, on the pole, is the 09 of Riley Marbello, and alongside him is current points leader, the 6 truck of Gerald Campbell.
Glenn Bundren Jr. in the 37 returns to the series. He will line up third in this first race with a 30 flat, or 32nd flat, and Dylan Gooden to the outside of him. Some very good finishes out of that 75 truck. Better watch him as he starts in the outside of row number 2.
In row number 3, starting 5th, it's going to be Big Kitty and the 00 of Blake Barney. And starting in 6th is going to be the 2 truck. Needs a good run tonight to get to advance that Final 4. That's David Westergreen.
Adam Tepe, other playoff driver of the 96, starts from 7th tonight, and Austin Beers in the 3 machine had a close win, or almost win, at Phoenix last week in the first race and a wild finish to the line. He will be starting, though, 8th on the outside of row 4 here at Texas.
In row number 5, it's the 71 truck, David If I Were a Carpenter, and starting alongside him in 10th is the 46 truck of Richard Mandonza.
Johnny Eckert of the 90 machine returns to start 11th on the inside of row number 6, and playoff driver Vincent Isabella being mired back a little bit in this field. He was starting the outside of that 6th row from the 12th position.
In row number 7, we got a couple more playoff guys. Here starting 13th, it's the young gun of the 52 truck of Gabriel Edwards, and alongside him is the 24 of Steven Schumann.
Behind them, you'll find the 55 of Brandon Dollar rolling off from the inside of the top 15, and Thomas KBueno alongside him in your 8th row here tonight.
And row number 9 is going to be the 93 truck of Nicholas Monticelli, starting 17th, and in the in the 18th spot, the 9 truck of Brody Iverson.
And behind them, drivers who did not take time, which do include Peter Kenny, Chris Jordan, Mason Thompson, and Douglas Wolcott, rounding out your 22 truck field here tonight for this first race under the sun at Texas.
And again here tonight, Kenneth, this is going to be the final race before we go to Kentucky in 2 weeks. I believe that's May 6th is the correct date here off the top of my head. So that's something to look forward to. And between the OSCA Truck Series will have an all-star race. I believe that's not going to be broadcasted here on KBRN, but I'm sure you can check that out on OSCA's Twitter handle. And that's at OSCA at twitter.com. But we'll get ready to go green here, and the 09 truck of Riley Marbello is going to lead him to the green flag. And you see another new look for that 6 truck on the outside, bringing the VFW colors back. That's our points leader, Gerald Campbell. He'll be chomping at the bit to get up front and stay there and try to get another good finish here as the pace truck is going to dive off. We're ready to go green here in the Cystic Fibrosis Awareness 114, round number 12 of the OSCA Truck Series. And we're underway. They're green flag racing as Marbello takes the green flag. And they're diving down into turn number 1 here, and looks like Marbello's going to get ahead of Gerald Campbell as they go into 1. And you see here that bottom line is going to be the preferred line as Campbell's going to tuck right in behind him. And right there where they're coming out of 2, I've seen him practice. It's tight, but then it gets snappy loose right on the outside. But it looks like everyone got through that corner just okay. And going through 3 and 4 here, Kenneth, looks like smooth. This is where you get that higher speed, and you see a lot more passing is going to probably be come into play here going into 3 and 4. But again, diving down into 1, that's that flat part of the racetrack. That's where you kind of can make it or break it. And it looks like, oh, maybe Campbell got a little loose coming out of 2. And it looks like Glenn Bundren Jr. is going to try to take the lead coming on the outside. Oh, 3 wide.
And look at Blake Barney diving all the way. He wants nothing to do with these two. He'll shoot to the race lead. The Big Kitty Toyota Tundra makes way to the front on lap number 2 as Gerald Campbell and Glenn Bundren continue to work side by side. But it was not that good of a start for your pole sitter Riley Marbello as he falls all the way to 4th in this exchange. So although seeing very quick starts out of these guys, Glenn Bundren working up high, lots of guys down low. Blake Barney with a power move to the race lead.
Yeah, he's making good power moves as he did even last week at Phoenix, but he did get the second heat win. But can he pull off a sweep here tonight? He's showing some muscle here so far as they're going to come to lap number 4 of 38 in heat number 1. But don't look out, don't look now. Here comes Gerald Campbell in that 6 truck as they dive into turn number 1. He gets that preferred line on the bottom, hugging that white line as you see. And I think the big thing too is kind of saving your tires. You've seen Campbell on exit, not really washing it up or driving that car to the wall. That should save his right front, as it's going to be a big key here as we get later on into the run. And you know, we talk about the caution clock here too, Kenneth, and with that turn 1 and 2 being so flat, I would think, again, you know, we've seen this so many times before, the different strategies that we've seen in a lot of these races, and we've been wrong about a few of them, Vegas being one that comes to mind. But again, with that flat 1 and 2, I would think, you know, when a caution clock comes out, I think a lot of guys would at least want to get right side tires.
And you definitely might want that, Mike, but at least for the moment, I think if a caution clock does come out and it brings out the yellow, bunches up the field once more, I think we're probably going to see everybody take 4 tires and fuel, because if you go for those right sides, it'll be a little bit of a gamble. I'm probably assuming we'll see later on in the race, especially if the caution clock comes into effect. It is a cutoff at 5 laps to go, but if we get a caution just before that or just within the final laps of the race, it'll wind down naturally, and there probably will be a right side tire call. But for now, if you're running under green, you go under a first caution clock. If we stay clean, you're probably going to want 4 tires and fuel, as you'll see a battle here for a second. That is Blake Barney and Riley Marbello, pole sitter, taking that spot once more.
Yeah, good recovery for the 09 of Riley Marbello, as you've seen, started on the pole, fell all the way back to 4th position, working his way back up through the field, and worked his way back up into the 2nd position. Currently, almost 4/10 of a second behind the leader. But an interesting note here, Vincent Isabella almost going a lap down. You see right from his rear bumper cam, he's got Gerald Campbell not too far behind him. So must have had some issues on the start here, as I believe, actually it's 4 laps down. So he's almost in trouble of going 6 laps down. So not a good start here for the 42 truck of Vincent Isabella. And for him being 2nd in points. And there you see Austin Beers, the short track kid. He's showing that muscle again. He's done it all year long. Oh, big kitty in the wall. Blake Barney hits the wall coming out of turn 4. He's got some heavy damage. That's really probably going to hamper his truck here, as you see him lose another spot to Bunger, and he's going to drop back into 5th. And with that hit in the wall, I would expect him, Kenneth, to probably lose a few more spots.
And that turn 4 area is so treacherous, and I think in official racing, you could also take note of it when the ARCA Menard Series cars go here at the same time. You want to carry as much speed as you want to through 3 and 4, but it gets so tough because you want to hook it all the way to the bottom. You have to carry a lot of that momentum, and even the slightest misinput or slightest mistake of placing your truck in that racetrack, or at least into the corner, it could result in the truck sliding up the track and then in turn getting into the outside wall, because the truck does not want to have more of that grip. And even off of turn 2, you'll see it where drivers try to extend that sort of wide exit out of turn 2, and sort of similarly in turn 4, that's where drivers get into issues. And Blake Barney, a playoff driver in the first handful of segments in the points, and 3rd in points coming into tonight, is definitely not a good sight with some damage early on.
Yeah, falling all the way back now to 8th position, as Westergreen does get around him. So again, losing a lot of speed from where he was originally, you know, in the lead not that long ago. As again, you see that damage to the right front of the big kitty machine in that 00. But going back out front, Gerald Campbell still holding on. Lost a little bit of that lead, not much, about 3.5 tenths to back to the 09 truck of Riley Marbello. And again, right behind him, putting the heat on, is going to be Austin Beers. So again, a good start for him, working his way up through the field. But right now, that VFW truck, as he's been usually all night or all season long, up front when it counts. But usually don't see him. I guess sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But as of late, we really haven't seen him up front in the lead this early on in the going. So maybe flexing his muscles a little earlier than what we've seen as of late. And now going back to that battle for the 2nd position between the 09 and the 3 truck. Right now, they're kind of riding in tow here. Maybe Beers being patient, trying to save those tires before we get a caution. And there's another playoff driver, Steven Schumann, in the 12th position, trying to chase down the 71 truck of David Carpenter. But right now, started 14th, moved up a couple spots, currently in the 12th position. And gaining a little bit of ground there, looks like, on the 71 truck of Carpenter, and ahead of him is also the 96 truck of Adam Tepe, kind of washing up the track. And here looks like Carpenter's going to take advantage of that position, so move Carpenter, not quite yet, as they go down into turn 3 into the top 10. And you're going to see Schumann try to follow suit, but a good run on the outside for that 96 truck, and he's going to hang on to the top 10 spot as we are now completing lap 15 of 38.
And you got to think, for those drivers, they're laying a little bit back in this field. And for most of those guys like Adam Tepe and also like Steven Schumann, they're kind of mired back in the point standings. They have to make the top 4 before this night is all said and done. So they need a compilation of both this race and the next race following in order to really make things worth it in terms of trying to get into the championship. You see a battle here behind as Gooden slaps the outside wall. That's Glenn Bundren fighting for 4th position. That's Richard Mandonza, driver we saw dominate at Kansas in that first race. He loses that spot. Bundren goes by. Just simple passes, Mike, that you're seeing here at Texas. And speaking of which, we may have a pass here for the race lead. Austin Beers gets by Riley Marbello, and he's caught up to the 6th truck.
Yeah, he's gotten around the 09 and looking down at the 6, down his barrel there here at Texas. And yeah, strong run for the 3 truck, the short track kid, Austin Beers, closing in to about 0.2 of a second behind the 6 truck. And yeah, passing, he's made it look relatively easy here. I believe he started back in the 8th position, so working his way up into 2nd. So showing some muscle here tonight in that ID Racing Red Bull Toyota. And yeah, passing is going to be at a premium here, especially I think through 1 and 2. But we've seen some of these guys kind of perfect the art, and I think that's going to be the big key here. And right now it looks like that 3 truck of Austin Beers has it dialed in, as you can see how much lower he's staying in the corner in 1 and 2. He's going to gain a lot of track position. He's going to get alongside the 6 truck as they're heading down into turn number 3. Austin Beers, he's got to look. Can he do it? He's going to get the run. Yes, he will. Put Austin Beers, the short track kid, into the lead here in the Cystic Fibrosis Awareness 114 as they complete lap 18 or 19. Oh man, 3 wide almost for the lead as Marbello. He's going to put his hand in the ring here as well as side by side as Marbello pushes up the track a little bit. Almost got into Campbell. He had to back off a little bit, and he's going to file back into the 3rd position. But wow, there for a second, it looked like it was almost going to be a 3 wide battle for the lead. But right now, that top 3, you can throw a blanket over him.
Yeah, that is very quick, and Riley Marbello almost could have also made it 3 wide. You saw Gerald Campbell, although he had the outside to work with, which isn't necessarily the preferred way around the Texas Motor Speedway. He was able to hang on for just a moment, now succeeds the race lead, and now Austin Beers finally takes it over, and he may have it here as now the caution clock will be ignited, tick all the way down to 0, so we'll bunch up the field, but a textbook pass by the 3 of Austin Beers to set this into motion.
Yes, he did, and he's going to get the prime position to get those 4 fresh tires. Hopefully, he can get in and out of pit road and maintain that lead for that 3 truck of Austin Beers. And it was interesting to note, I believe earlier when you showed that 46 truck of Richard Mandonza, another truck that had a little bit of damage to the rear end of the truck, almost looked like he maybe even kicked the rear end out a little bit and got into the wall. Usually some of the trucks that we've seen damage to most of the time was on their right front. So kind of interesting to see what maybe happened to him. But anyway, we're going to see the cars and to see Vincent Isabella getting 1 of his laps back. I think he's going to go back to 4 laps down. He's currently running in the 19th position. As the pits should be open here. We should see all these cars diving down pit road. Some of the cars maybe getting some of that damage fixed after slapping the wall. But here comes the short track kid of Austin Beers. He's going to lead the field down to pit road. And we're going to see, again, I agree with you, Kenneth. I think most of these guys are going to be taking 4 good years and filling up that fuel with Sunoco fuel. Filling up their tanks with Sunoco fuel. But there might be some guys, maybe just to watch out for, might try to get that track position, maybe taking 2 tires, but I don't think we're going to see that here. But, you know, we've been surprised before. And you can see the race off of pit road. That's a pretty cool new graphic there here on KBRN. And it looks like Beers is the first one off, firing off pit road, and he will get off first. Gerald Campbell second. Riley Marbello is going to come out in third, and Glenn Bundren Jr. comes out fourth, and Mandonza comes out in fifth. So for the most part, looks like in the top five, everything kind of stood pat with how they were running before they entered into the pits. But a few positions maybe a little bit later on in the pack might have changed here a little bit. But I think just as you called it, Kenneth, 4 tires was pretty much the only way to go here.
Yeah, it's the consensus, and I think going later in this race, about 16 laps to go, going to be roughly around there, 16, 15 laps to go left in this first race. If we stay green, I'm not sure whether the caution clock will be ignited. It will get very close, but by the time we get to 5 laps to go, it'll shut off. So we have to basically rely, Mike, on a caution to come out from an incident on the track in order for gambles like right side tires only or 2 tires on one stop to happen in any case. So at least for the most part, 4 tires and fuel, the consensus, everybody going to be on the same footing. Unfortunately for Vincent Isabella, he will have a lot more work to do. He'll have 1 last lap to get over, but still a couple more, about 3 laps still under your leaders. Also a note, Blake Barney and Dylan Gooden, they got their damage repaired on pit road, at least for the most part. See the right front of the 75 and also look at the 00. Fixed it up just a little bit, but those 2 who are running near the top 10 end up falling out because of that damage. And I'm kind of surprised more drivers didn't hit that outside wall. There have been a couple who have, and especially Barney and Gooden to note, but I haven't mentioned or at least seen anybody else have a meeting with that outside barrier. So I think for the most part, everybody's staying relatively clean, keeping their trucks off of that barrier, at least keeping themselves without any sort of damage. And for playoff drivers, that is very big if you're going to need all those points.
Yeah, you're going to need all those points indeed. But yeah, relatively clean for how tight and how this track can reach out and bite you, at least the wall can. And I think, again, too, you know, talking about as we're getting closer to the end of heat number 1 here, again, with about 16 laps to go, I think once we get past maybe 5 or 6 more laps, maybe once we get around 10 to go left in this heat, I think that's where you'll see guys trying to push the limits just a little bit too far, and maybe we'll see more trucks maybe scraping the wall, just trying to get everything they can. And I'll be kind of curious to see, too, as you mentioned, Blake Barney and Dylan Gooden getting that damage fixed. You know, a lot of times, and especially in iRacing here, it's not going to be back to 100% normal, but just going to see what they can do with, you know, the repairs, getting to about 100% as much as they can with that damage, and see how much that helps them out. Their trucks are going to be better than they were when they first initially hit the wall. That's going to be for sure. But see if they can work their way up back into the top 10, especially that 00 of Blake Barney, as he is one of the playoff drivers trying to punch their ticket to Kentucky in 2 weeks. But now the field is doubling up. We're 1 to go to green. We'll take the green on lap 25 of 38. Oh, looks like a little incident there. It looks like the 66 of KBueno going around there. Interesting note. Maybe I'm not sure what happened there, but a little interesting. But anyway, back up front, we're going to get ready to go to green. Hopefully KBueno can catch back up with the field. And again, lap 25 taking the green. And it'll be Austin Beers leading him off. Gerald Campbell on the outside rope. Riley Marbello, see what he can do. He showed that muscle after falling back into the 4th position, was right there with Campbell and Beers right before the caution came out. But again, Bundren Jr., we know how bad he wants to win. He's going to be starting on the outside of row number 2 as Beers takes the green. Here in the Cystic Fibrosis Awareness 114 here at Texas. And going down into turn 1, looks like Austin Beers is going to take the advantage as Gerald Campbell in the 6 truck is going to tuck in right behind them. And as we've seen the end of, or right before the caution, came out, these top three battling under a blanket. They're still doing that as Riley Marbello is taking the inside, trying to take it away from Gerald Campbell coming out of 4. Looks like he's going to take that spot as they hit the line, just barely has the advantage. And see if he can complete the pass going down into turn number 1. He almost wants more. He wants to get up to that 3 truck of Austin Beers. He's putting on the heat. He's getting close. Can he do it? He's going to dive down low. They're almost to the white line. Looks like it's going to be almost 3 wide. Now it's going to be side by side for that second position. Gerald Campbell wants it back, and he'll take it. So, man, these top 3 guys of Beers, Campbell, and Marbello putting on one heck of a show here in heat number 1 as they complete lap number 26.
And you see Campbell just trying to duck his nose in, but contact with Riley Marbello. They both go spinning. A fantastic save by both Marbello and Campbell, but the caution waves in time to settle things down. What an unbelievable set of events from your 2 leaders. And as Campbell tried to tuck his nose in for almost 3 wide of the race lead, him and Marbello were fighting very aggressively to catch up to Austin Beers, and that almost could have been disastrous. They got a little bit of damage, but they survived at the end of it all.
Yeah, just that little bit of damage on the left rear for Gerald Campbell. And, he was one of the guys that said he didn't like the configuration. As you see them trying to go almost 3 wide, trying to get aggressive there for the lead. One thing I think Gerald Campbell can be thankful for with this new configuration is how they widened turns 1 and 2. Because you've seen him, and maybe a little bit of right front damage for Marbello. But if that was the old configuration of Texas Motor Speedway, I would have to think the rear end of that 6 truck of Gerald Campbell would have got into the wall. But again, great saves by both drivers to really have minimal damage after this contact. And little Tokyo drift here for Gerald Campbell, and straightens it back out. And, besides losing a little bit of that track position, I think he's going to fall all the way back into that 9th spot. And Marbello, he's still in 2nd. So we'll see if Marbello will have enough damage if he has to pit. But, man, both guys kind of getting sideways. And wow. And just, they made it look easy, but I can tell you guys that's not an easy thing necessarily to do, even on iRacing. I'm sure both those drivers were a little bit worried that could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, it definitely could have been a lot worse. And luckily for them, even for Campbell, I think that extra small hit by Marbello while he was in the middle of that spin helped them to straighten the car out. So at least for both of them, they're able to continue on. I think for Campbell, it's going to be a lot worse. He's going to spend more time on pit road as a result, and the biggest question will be whether anyone will go down pit road this time, because they've only been 7 laps on their stint, so it hasn't been too long since we had our last yellow flag under the caution clock. So it's going to be even more interesting to see whether either Marbello, which I don't think he's going to pit due to some of the damage he has, and for Campbell, whether he's going to pit and take all that damage repair. Won't be good for the points leader. I think he's got a good enough cushion to keep himself safe for now, but that could have been massively big. But the big question here, Mike, is whether anybody takes this gamble, goes down pit road, or whether everybody takes the same amount.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I think your top 5 is probably going to stay out. They kind of made their bed, as it doesn't look like anyone's ducking down a pit road. But just kind of looking at the timing and scoring, I believe, I think it's the 90 truck of Johnny Eckert back in 13th. Was one of the cars that may have pitted under this caution. I believe, just by what I'm looking at, he's been down pit road 3 times. So everyone from 12th on up has only been on pit road under that previous caution. As you see, Vincent Isabella hitting pit road as well. And speaking of maybe a little bit of luck for Vincent Isabella, he's still 1 lap down now. I think he got a couple wave arounds there too. I believe, or maybe now going back down 2 laps. I'm sorry, but I think that's where it's currently having him. 2 laps down in 18th. But as of right now, Gerald Campbell is in 17th. And really, it shouldn't matter a whole lot, I guess. It's going to be the top 4 that advance. And Vincent Isabella is in a pretty good spot to be one of those top 4. But knowing Vincent, he wants to see if he can be that number 1 guy going into Kentucky. Kind of one of those, it's a pride thing. But as of right now, he is mired back 2 laps down. After being 5 laps down, he's recovering pretty well with some of the wave rounds and whatnot for some of these cautions. That's benefited him, but looks like around an 18th position where he's going to finish out heat number 1 in. But back up front, it's going to be Austin Baier continuing to hold on to that lead. And again, as you mentioned, just that little bit of damage. Oh, there's David Westergreen started back in 6th, up into 4th. He's another guy on that bubble to get into that chase spot. And another guy behind him, Gabriel Edwards. So, man, oh man, it's going to be interesting to see how aggressive those two trucks are, because these guys, the 2 and the 52, points are going to be at a premium for those two drivers. And I think they're going to be battling hard to get whatever they can in these final 7 laps here in heat number 1. And actually, I'm kind of looking at that 09 truck, Kenneth. It doesn't look like the damage on his truck's that bad.
No, it isn't too terrible. I see in the right front, there's a tiny crinkle where the wheel well is, but it's not too extensive. Gerald Campbell definitely got the worst out of it. You see it right there, just a little bit of the crinkle there on the front. But everything else on that truck seems to be relatively clean. So I guess this decision to stay out may have been the best one instead of wasting time on pit road and losing track position as a result. So at least for Marbello, he has still another chance. And I don't think the handling or anything else or the aero really on that truck has been affected too much from that small incident there in the small contact. So Marbello still has a chance to get in this race. But Mike, think about the drivers behind this first row. Richard Mandonza, haven't seen him all night. He was running in the top 5. David Westergreen, Adam Tepe, Gabriel Edwards, all of them playoff drivers respectively. Looking for a lot of points here as Baier will come off turn 4 to take the green flag.
Yeah, a lot of those guys wanting to punch their ticket to Kentucky for the championship 4 for the OSCA Truck Series. We'll see how aggressive they'll be in these final few laps as Austin Baier shoots it off and takes him to the green flag as they come to lap number 32 of 38 here in heat number 1. And he's going to spread out that top 3 as Marbello is going to dive in behind him. Mandonza into 3rd. Gabriel Edwards move him into the 4th position. And David Westergreen is going to file into the 5th spot. So the way Baier's kind of jumped on that restart, kind of spread the field out here a little bit. But here comes Mandonza putting the heat on Marbello. For that 2nd spot. It looks like he got a little loose going into 3 and 4 there. Lost a little bit of track position, but hey, right now you talked about, see that little crinkle damage? You can see it real close there out of the back of the 3 truck. It doesn't seem to be affecting that 09 too much as he's still trying to power to get that lead as we're getting down to a handful of laps to go in heat number 1. But behind that 09 truck, you got the 46 to 52. They're looking to move up to the front. Gabriel Edwards is going to be a kid on a mission. And maybe almost a little contact between the 46 and 09 as they're coming down to complete lap number 33. The 46 of Mandonza, he's going to see if he has anything for that 3 truck of Austin Baier.
And I saw that the 09, that last time by, as you're running on board with the 3, behind the 3 of Austin Baier, that 09 checked up in turn 1 way too much. I think he was already accustomed to having the tires older on his race truck and therefore slowed down a lot more to make the corner. That's what allowed Richard Mandonza to make that headway, and now he is on this charge to catch up to Baier. We've already seen a pass for the lead happen once, but there's only 5 laps to go, and a caution comes out as soon as it happens. And it was contact to the rear of the field. A handful of trucks involved. Nicholas Monticelli, Brody Iverson. I believe Chris Jordan might have also had damage. You see Vincent Isabella there. I believe these 2 might have cleared this wreck. But as for Monticelli and Iverson, there are heaps of damage on both of their Toyota Tundras.
Yeah, it looks like Monticelli is not under power as you see heavy damage for Iverson in that 9 truck. And we'll take a look at the KBRN replay here to see exactly what happened to that 93 truck, and it looks like coming down and going into 3, maybe the 42 truck was involved a little bit. Nope, it's going to be the 9 truck. Getting into KBueno, head on into the wall. Nowhere to go for that 93 truck, a hard hit. And man, heavy contact. Looked like everyone else, as you said, the 42 truck of Vincent Isabella was able to slow down and avoid the contact. But a 3 wide, got a little tight situation there. Maybe not the most comfortable situation. Looks like it's upset the 9 truck of Iverson a little bit. And heavy contact with the wall, and even more heavy contact with that 93 truck. So their nights for heat number 1 anyway, appear to be done. As I believe that 93 truck was not under power, and that 9 truck looks like he has heavy motor damage as well. And again, as you see out the front of Monticelli's truck, really... And ooh, just what a hit. And I don't even know if the like with the broadcast, what is showing you, if some of these guys in the game, Iracing recently came out with a new smoke patch for this tire smoke, and a lot of times too, when a car's spinning like that, you have no idea where that car is going to be. It's almost, I bet you for Monticelli coming out of 4, the whole track was blocked, and it's just a guessing game at that point where you're going to go. And unfortunate for him, the guess was wrong, and his night appears to be done.
Yeah, especially where the smoke rises from a spinning race truck or a spinning race car here in iRacing, where they make it so dense you can barely even see out ahead. So for Monticelli, he did do a solid job of slowing the truck down, but by the time he tries to accelerate, then he realizes that Brody Iracing's careening down the track, and by that time he has no option but to just slam on the brakes and just brace for impact. And unfortunately for Monticelli, it results in a completely blown engine, sent him without power, basically limping all the way to his pit stall. He's now on pit road. I think this is definitely cementing the end of the first race for the 93. Hoping to look at a better run here in this second race. But what I'm going to watch here on this next restart is how things are going to fare in the top 6, Mike, because when we get to the second race, we're going to have the top 6 invert. So whoever wins this race is going to be all the way back in 6, and the drivers who are sitting in the top 4 through the top 6 are all playoff contenders, that being Westergreen, Edwards, and Tepe lining up the top 6. So if these guys finish where they are right now, to finish this first heat, these guys will be right at the front of the field to compete with each other for that second race. So that's going to be very big, and even more so that we're going to be under the lights here at Texas. We'll get to see the caution lights on the fence a little bit better and clearer under the moonlight. So things will get even more crazy, and for these 3 drivers, these guys are all in positions where they practically need to win or set themselves apart from every other playoff driver in order to make themselves notable in the championship 4.
Yeah, it's going to be a mental battle on this green-white checkered. What do? Do you take it easy? Because if you kind of play it a little safe, you want to stay in kind of where you're running 4th, 5th, and 6th. Because then at very worst, you're going to invert and to be into the start up front for heat number 2. But also, as he said, they need to get every point they can get, and they got to be chomping at the bit just a little bit. To try to get as many points as they can, and especially those 3 drivers are pretty close together, kind of maybe on the outside looking in, so again setting themselves apart, maybe even getting a win, and seeing what can happen here. But the field is going to double up, and we're going to go back to green flag racing with a green-white checkered, and we've seen Austin Beers lead a lot of this heat as he made that power move from the 8th position all the way to the lead. But Richard Mandonza, we've seen him charge late right before that caution came out. Looked like he was putting all the heat on that 3 truck, and we know that Marbello, at least once they get going, he can show some speed, but is there going to be enough time? We're going to be able to find out here in just a little bit. And then again, those 3 playoff drivers behind them, they're going to be hungry and ready to go, trying to get whatever they can. So the field is diving down into turn 3. The pace truck is going to be diving off in just a few moments, and we're going to settle this once and for all in heat number 1 in the Cystic Fibrosis Awareness 114 here at Texas Motor Speedway. And again, here the pace truck's going to dive down onto pit road. Austin Beers is going to lead them to the green flag, and he gets a great jump. Maybe spins the tires a little bit, but still pulls ahead of Mandonza. And the field's fanning out behind them, as looks like Gabriel Edwards not getting the best of restarts, as he's going to lose several spots, falling back into the 6th position currently. But back up front, it's Austin Beers holding off Richard Mandonza for the moment. But Beers going all the way down to the bottom of the line, but he's got to get a good entry down into 3. Looks like Mandonza is going to be right on that back bumper of the 3 truck as they're coming down to the white flag. One more lap to settle this. Can Mandonza pull off the upset win here over the short track kid of Austin Beers? We're about to find out as they're headed down into turn number 1. And right now, he's going to sit back, but he's got one more corner to do it. But he's going to get a good run on the outside. They're going to be filing down for that bottom line here going into 3 and 4. as they're diving into 3. Austin Beers has that position, but is he going to lay a bumper to him? I don't know if he's going to quite get there. Beers washes up the track a little bit, but he's going to hang on and win heat number 1 here at Texas. Austin Beers wins, Mandonza 2nd, Marbello 3rd, Westergreen 4th, Adam Tepe 5th, and Gabriel Edwards rounds out the 6th position, so he'll be starting on the pole for heat number 2. We've seen it last week, how crazy some of these heats can end, but it didn't appear that Mandonza had quite enough steam to get to that back bumper. I was wondering if he was going to be thinking about it, but it looks like his truck might have got a little loose on the white line, just a little bit right there, and that might have prevented him to do a little bit of the bump and run.
Yeah, you see it right here, just coming to the line. These two, Marbello and the 46 of Mandonza, got fairly close to the line for the 2nd spot, but they end up nose to tail within each other. Mandonza gets the spot, and he ends up in the 2nd position. So fantastic battle nonetheless, but for Austin Beers, that was a full control of the race lead after he took it away. He never looked back, and now gets to have another win for ID Racing in the 2021 season.
Yeah, another win for ID Racing, another win for Austin Beers. Congratulations to him. And we got the warm-ups going on here for heat number 2. It'll be interesting to see. Austin Beers is going to start back in the 6th position, but as we've seen in heat number 1, starting all the way back into 8th, working his way up to the lead. Can he be the first driver to perform the race sweep, the night sweep of both heats? We haven't seen that yet. He looks to maybe be a favorite, but with the sun going down, the moon coming up, the truck might be handling a little bit different here at Texas. Might be tightening these trucks up a little bit, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But with that, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, let these guys get ready for heat number 2, and we'll see you on the other side here for some more OSCA Truck Series action here at Texas.
Iracing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. Iracing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iracing.com.
Coverage of the OSCA Truck Series on the KBueno Racing Network is brought to you by Iracing. Join thousands of sim racers across the world and start your racing career today at iracing.com. And by Supermix, concrete blocks on demand. And as we get back here, rounding out the warm-up session here, getting prepared for heat number 2, about 30 seconds away. I got to think here, Kenneth, with, now we're going to have Gabriel Edwards on the front row, Adam Tepe, David Westergreen, those guys on the bubble that need good runs again. They got the good top 5, top 6 runs here in heat number 1, but they still want more. Is it going to be easy to pass those guys on the edge of the playoff bubbles heading into Kentucky next week? Is it going to be hard for Austin Beers? We've seen him do it in heat number 1, but can he do it again in heat number 2? That's going to be, I think, a big key here. And even another truck in the number 6 truck of Gerald Campbell, can he work his way up to the front after his little incident in second place here earlier in heat number 1 as well? So I think that's going to be two guys I'm going to be watching out for, and along with those 3 guys starting up front, I think it's going to be pretty interesting here. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. I'm sure he's going to be charging hard here as we kind of reset things here for heat number 2. But if there's any questions that you want to ask, or anything, comments that you have, you can join in the conversation with us up in the booth, and you can do so by using hashtag KBRN. You can put any question or comment that you'd like, followed by the hashtag, and we will answer to the best of our ability. And that's hashtag AskKBRN for anything you want to ask, or even comments, maybe make some predictions. Are we going to see some upset winners? Maybe Gabriel Edwards, he was making that charge late in the run in heat number 1 before he kind of fell back into that 6th position. And how about those 2 guys of Westergreen and Tepe that they made that charge late in the run. I think Tepe was back in the 10th, 11th spot, so for him to work his way up into that 5th position, that was a good, strong run for him. And again, a run that he needed to have. And we'll see what happens here as the field is currently gridding up here for heat number 1. It looks like the pace truck's going to be ready to roll off here and get ready for heat number 2 of the Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Foundation Awareness 114 here at Texas Motor Speedway. It looks like the field is diving, or the pace car diving off. And Gabriel Edwards is going to lead them to the green flag here in heat number 2. And right now, side by side, the 52 truck and the 96 of Edwards and Tepe as they dive into turn 1. Who's going to get the advantage? Looks like the 09 truck of Marbello. He's going to pick up where he left off. He's going to drive all the way to the front, followed by heat number 1 winner Austin Beers, as they're getting a good run on that outside. And they're going to charge their way up into the 2nd and 3rd position. Put Westergreen back into the 4th spot, but it looks like that 46 truck was putting some heat on the 2 of Westergreen, but right now they file back in position. So here on lap number 1, Gabriel Edwards will lead lap number 1, but he's got that 09 truck on his tail ready to make a charge. And wow, these guys are showing, the 09 and the 3 are showing why they finished up front here in heat number 1. And Gerald Campbell getting sideways off of turn 2. It looks like he's into the wall. As as the 09 gets in lead, and there's more contact. Campbell going around. It looks like the 55 truck, and that's going to be, who is in the 55 truck? I'm trying to look at the scoreboard here. Oh, that's Brandon Dollar. And the KFC truck, he's got some heavy motor damage there. Black smoke coming out of the back of his truck. And man, a charge by the 6 truck, Kenneth. But it looks like his truck got a little upset coming out of turn 2, and kind of chaos ensued behind that.
And you said it there, you were kind of wondering just how Campbell would do on a comeback from that incident, and it comes to a very short conclusion, tows it to pit road in the 19th position. He's already 1 lap down. He may be even furthermore as we continue this race. So very tough for the current playoff points leader going into this next race. And now it's going to be even more curious to see how things will fare out once this is all said and done, because if Campbell's not able to get back to the lead lap in time, this is going to be very rough for him, and a driver that's been so dominant to open and pretty much mediate this entire season, and could possibly maybe lose the points lead, maybe could fall out of the championship 4, considering how the points will shake out. But what a power move, though, by these two right here, Riley Marbello and Austin Beers, 2 of the fastest trucks in that first race, at least to end that first race. And Marbello started on pole in that first race, lost it, but tried to get it all the way back. Finished 3rd at the line to end this first race. And now, as of the first handful of laps, able to make quick work of everybody to take over the race lead.
Yeah, they made it look real easy. Just power moves by the 09 and the 3 truck, as you were saying. And they've been showing the muscle that they've showed here in heat number 1. And they're carrying it over to heat number 2, as interesting to see them fly through the field past the 52 and the 2 truck of Westergreen and Edwards. Adam Tepe started 2nd. He fell all the way back into the 8th spot, so didn't get the best of restarts there as well. But yeah, just kind of a heartbreaker for Gerald Campbell. Looked like he was one of those guys that was fighting with Marbello and Beers before that contact between the 6 and the 09 in heat number 1, and that kind of put him in that position where he had to be aggressive to try to get whatever track position he could get. And unfortunately for him, that will end his night early, as you've seen that contact between the 6 and the 55 of Campbell and Dollar. And I'm kind of looking at the timing and scoring. It looks like Campbell's still down pit road. Dollar is down 1 lap as well, but it appears his night's going to end early. We'll take a look here on the KBRN replay to maybe see what exactly brought out that yellow, see what happened. It looks like, maybe a little contact between Nadia Eckhart, and he's trying to save it, got in a tank slapper situation, got in the wall a couple times, and just couldn't hang on. And Dollar, at that point, probably carrying a little bit too much speed for that situation. Wasn't it maybe expecting Campbell to move down off the wall, and Campbell is trying to stay up in the wall a little bit to avoid a lot of the cars around him, but at some point you almost want to get off the wall, and just right in front of Dollar where he had nowhere to go. And it looks like Dollar was upset his truck a little bit coming out of turn 2. As you see, boom, 55 truck had nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's so tough. I think, once again, comparing to that situation with Nicholas Monticelli in the 93, where you kind of saw him just in the back of that wreck as the wreck was happening right in front of him, thinks he can get by, and then all of a sudden goes right in front of him, gets him collected, and all of a sudden he has hard damage on his race truck. So very hard ending, at least for the 6 of Gerald Campbell and for the 55 of Dollar. Dollar just trying to recuperate, but we'll see how he does as he's marred back all the way in 18th.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but the field is doubled up. They're going to get ready to go back to green flag racing here as they're coming down to lap number 6 of 38 here in heat number 2. And Austin Beers is going to, Marbello is going to lead the field to green. Used to have an Austin Beers up front. And a good start by the 09 as Beers tries to duck in front of the 52 of Gabriel Edwards. Looks like he will do so. And right now on the outside, kind of hung out to dry, is David Westergreen. He's going to fall back into the 5th position behind Mandonza, who moves up into the 4th spot. But man, that 09 truck pulling a few car lengths away for that lead. And here Mandonza kind of picking up where he left off, chasing right on the tailgates of a lot of these trucks. And he's got that purple truck in front of him of Gabriel Edwards, who's in 3rd. He wants a little bit more, but look at the run here going into 1. for Gabriel Edwards. Might have washed up the track a little bit. That's going to open the door for Mandonza. You see him on the inside here. They're going to dive down into turn 3. It looks like Mandonza is going to try to take that third position away for Gabriel Edwards, and he looks like he will. And so put Mandonza into the top 3. Looks like Westergreen's trying to take advantage of the wash-up from Gabriel Edwards as well. But right now, some of the other playoff spot guys, look at Schumann, who needs a good run here as well. He's into the 10th spot, but look at the 42 truck of Vincent Isabella showing some speed now that he's back and reset. Move him up into the 9th position, chasing down teammate Blake Barney and also that 75 truck, last week's week 1 winner at Phoenix of Dylan Gooden. So it looks like, you know, maybe the teammates, Austin Beer's teammates, whoa, looks like Isabella got a little squirrely going down to turn number 1. He's going to lose a few spots. He's going to fall all the way back, now out of the top 10 into the 11th spot. But might have to work his way back up through the field. And speaking of the teammate of Vincent Isabella, it's that 3 truck of Austin Beers who's shown a lot of muscle here tonight. He's on that back bumper of the 09 once again, try to take the lead, but don't look out now. We have a top 3 sandwich here again for the lead, as Mandonza is right there as well. It looks like we're going to go 3 wide for the lead, maybe. And oh, the 09 cuts off the 46 truck, as man, Kenneth, this battle for the lead is it's a doozy so far here, as Marbello looks like he's going to hold off Beers and see if Mandonza can get by for that 2nd position.
Yeah, it is not letting up, but up behind them, that's David Westergreen getting loose in his truck, almost goes around. What a fantastic save by the playoff driver. Got some damage though on the rear end and lost track position as a result. That's going to hurt him merely to open this race, but the battle still persists. A trifecta up front, a bump by Richard Mandonza, a move to the inside by Austin Beers. 3 wide for the race lead for the moment. Beers all the way to the bottom. And remember, these are the same 3, Mike, that made it past for, or at least try to make this race win happen at the end of lap 38 in that last race. And watch Blake Barney now also make his way into the conversation.
Where did he come from? We were just talking about him being on the tail end of the top 10, and now he's battling for the 3rd position with the guys like Marbello, who's fallen back to 4th. He's right on the bumper of Mandonza. So right now with these fresher tires, it's almost like they're at the plate track time of the typical 1.5 miles we see even on this weirdly configured Texas Motor Speedway. Dylan Gooden, a guy that was running with Blake Barney as well, they charged up through the field together, as right now that 75 truck is in the 4th spot, and it looks like the caution is coming out. And I'm not sure if that was have anything to do with the 4 truck of Chris Jordan, who was started in 16th. He was running about in 14th position, or at least 14th position now. So I have to wonder what happened. We'll take a look here on the KBRN replay. But a lot of it might have been stack-ups from kind of what some earlier incidents. See, going down into turns 3 and 4, coming out of 4. It looks like KBueno got a little squirrely coming out. Oh, washes up. Oh, Westergreen involved. Playoff driver. He was running in the top 5 just a few laps ago. We've seen him kind of fade back after that contact that pushed him all the way back in the field, and in a bad position there. And that's a heartbreaker. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of damage for that 2 truck, but certainly for the 4 truck of Chris Jordan and the 66 of KBueno. Heavy damage here. I think coming right here, you see him lose it, trying to save it, but oh, Jordan's there, and that's where they pinch in the wall. Westergreen nowhere to go, kind of flies off that bumper, getting a couple wheels off the ground there. So unfortunate. Oh, there's the motor damage. Unfortunate for that 2 truck of Westergreen. Oh man, went for a ride there for a little bit, as the night was starting off so promising for Westergreen, kind of goes up and almost like a ball of flames there.
Yeah, hard contact there, and I think that initial contact, that initial moment that sent him further back in this field, made it even worse for him to even try and catch up. And then with that wreck happening right in front of him, just not the right place, not the right timing at all, and that's really going to hurt him in the long run. You see a couple drivers now, pretty much everybody on the lead lap going down pit road, and Blake Barney actually missed his stall, so he's going to be out of pit road first, but pretty much by default, considering he didn't get any tires or fuel. But as for everybody else, going to make that call, and Richard Mandonza will come out first. And luckily enough, Austin Baier staying all the way and making a stay even further down pit road. So I'm not sure exactly what might have happened to the 3 truck here.
Yeah, interesting turn of events here, as 2 ID Racing drivers having some issues with pit road, as Baier's currently still sitting on pit road, and Mandonza leading the charge off. So kind of curious, wonder what happened, and now you see that 3 truck roll off. So might have been some issues or things you might need to take care of under caution. And I gotta wonder too, Kenneth, Big Kitty cannot be happy with the driver of that 00 truck, Blake Barney, as he misses pit box on pit road.
Yeah, and you saw him there. He was trying to find his way to his pit box along with guys like Mandonza, was kind of stuck in the crowd, and then just ended up missing his pit stall. Did not even stop whatsoever and got out first. But at least for now, he's not going to end up going down pit road just yet. So he's going to stay out here. Instead of losing the track position further on, he's going to wait and maybe hold this on his own on older tires, which I don't think will spell well for Big Kitty here in the 00, as the rest of the field will probably look to swallow him up here into turn 1 on the restart. But we'll just see what Blake Barney does. Whether he ends up going down pit road or not, I think will be a big topic of discussion when we get forward. How about a driver in the 90 machine that we haven't talked about all night long, that 90 T-Mobile Chevrolet Silverado? That is Johnny Eckert. Started all the way near the back in that first race, ran in the mid-pack. We didn't really discuss him all too much, and a driver who won at Martinsville earlier this season, drivers who had his fair share of success in this series. I think he made a couple races where he was not in the field, but then came back to the running order and is now currently running in the top 5.
Yeah, and he's shown some muscle at a lot of the mile-and-a-half tracks, at least being in the mix, in the thick of it. And, maybe a Texas not being his favorite mile-and-a-half track, as you said, to lead off the show, not a consensus with a lot of drivers that it's not, but finally flexing his muscles a little bit to get it back into the top 5 here at another mile-and-a-half track. But I think Big Kitty called the audible for the 00 truck to stay out after he blew by his pit box. So I think Big Kitty said, "Hey, you made your you made your bed, you made your litter box, and you're gonna have to sit in it." And we'll see if that holds or that will pay off for him. And see what happens. Like you said, it's probably not going to work out. Turn 1, it might be a little bit of a hairy situation for that 00 truck, but we've seen him prove us wrong a few times here before, staying on older tires. At Phoenix, picked up heat number 2 by staying out and holding off Ryan Lutz, and almost holding off Ryan Lutz before he got the bumper on the final corner, but after the dive bomb by that 36 truck last week. So if there's a guy that Big Kitty trusts to stay out on those old tires, I would have to think it's that 00 of Blake Barney. But the field is doubled up, getting ready to go green on lap number 18 of 38 here in the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation 114 here at Texas Motor Speedway. And again, your top 5 is going to be Blake Barney, Richard Mandonza, Marbello, Gooden, and Gabriel Edwards still holding on. Or Johnny Eckert was in the 5th position. Sorry, looking at a little too live of a scoring there. It's currently ahead, as the pace truck's going to dive down pit road. Big Kitty with those old tires. Blake Barney, see if he can hold him off here, and he's going to get a good restart, and that's exactly what he needs on these old tires. See if he can hold him off here. But a lot of time to go here in heat number 2, about 20 laps to go, and Mandonza's going to make quick work of Blake Barney to take the lead, going down to turn 1 and washing up high as a 00. And it looks like a lot of cars might get the position to pass, as we see the 09 truck getting by as well. But it looks like there's an incident on the backstretch, as Iracing again going around, no caution, and backs into the fence just a little bit. He will get underway and continue to go as we stay under green as we hit lap 19 of 38. But I'm kind of surprised here. Barney took it wide coming out of turn 2. lost those 2 spots, but currently, I know we're still short on this run, but Blake Barney holding on about as good as you can here with those old tires.
And he's definitely keeping his ground. I think maybe he took 2 tires because if you had all 4 worn out on the racetrack, it probably wouldn't make any sense that this 00 would be competing so heavily. So I think 2 tires was the call, and at least maybe for the moment, or at least just holding on for now, that 00 really making work and keeping his steady composure in front of the 75 and the 90 truck. But meanwhile, Riley Marbello has a shot to try and catch up to your race leader. Remember, Austin Beers is stuck all the way back in 12th as a result of his penalty down pit road with Glenn Bundren. Well, not a penalty event, Glenn Bundren sore, but they both are together on the racetrack near the rear of the field. And now for Riley Marbello, this is his prime position to take away the lead from Mandonza and try to hold on in the final 17 laps of this event.
Yeah, he's sizing up that 46 truck of Mandonza, looking out that windshield of the 09. As you see, started back in the 4th position. You've seen how they charged through that field. Him and that 3 truck of Austin Beers on the start, and currently sitting in that 2nd spot. See if he can take the lead here as we are coming to lap number 22 of 38. And here it comes. Looked like he was going to take a peek down into turn number 1, and he does so. And but Mandonza able to keep it clear. But now maybe those 2 tires or no tires or whatever strategy Big Kitty or Blake Barney called there, now it's starting to maybe show the tire wear here a little bit, as Johnny Eckert's going to move up into the 4th position, and looks like Vincent Isabella is going to try to take the spot away as well. But it looks like Marbello shot a little high coming out of turn 3 as he's trying to swerve up and down the racetrack, trying to see if he can get a line on that 46 truck, but that closes into 75 of Dylan Gooden, and we know he can take advantage of some mistakes from other drivers, as we've seen him do so last week when he won heat number 1 at Phoenix.
And Dylan Gooden has been a part of a lot of great finishes the past couple of weeks in this series, and we haven't seen much of that strength here at Texas. He's been riding around this top 10 merely here, but now has a prime shot to get into the top 3, maybe even further to 2nd or to the race lead. He started all the way back in 11th here, Mike, so he's made a good walk up to where he sits right now on the last step of the podium here at Texas in the final 14 laps, and with a possible shot to maybe, if a late caution comes out or if the speed carries through in the long run, have a possible shot to win this 2nd heat and probably carry on what he had over at Phoenix, maybe with a little less luck on his side and maybe with a lot more of just a domination as he's trying to work this outside. It's fairly orthodox line that I'm seeing from Dylan Gooden, especially in 1 and 2. I think he's looking for more of a diamond arc as he gets a little bit loose and now be under fire from Johnny Eckert. But also take a look who's sitting in the top 5, the 42 of Vincent Isabella to turn 3.
Yeah, he powered his way up, and he's on the tail end of that lead pack right now. So a good recovery for Vincent Isabella in that home place beer Toyota Tundra. And yeah, you know, you see there too for Dylan Gooden kind of taking that diamond, kind of starting out a little higher, and on exit kind of arcing it down on the bottom. And it can be the fast way around, but as you've seen that 75 truck get a little loose out of turn 2 that last time by, that's kind of one thing you got to watch out for once you kind of take these corners aggressively like that. It can work when it does, but you also got to be prepared for that truck to step out on you. As you see right now, Vincent Isabella trying to move up that spot and try to get into the top 4, but right now, again, the top 3 breaking away from those the 90 and 42 just a little bit, but Richard Mandonza holding on to that lead, but not too far behind, almost 0.2 of a second, and you see not about a truck length apart between the 46 and the 09. And you see there some of the guys that had different strategies. Some of the guys that start up front, and Barney, Tepe, and Edwards, they're battling for the 6th, 7th, and 8th positions, or running in the 6th, 7th, and 8th positions respectively. And Tepe trying to move his way back up into the top 6 as he finished heat number 1 in. As you see Vincent Isabella now diving down, started all the way back into 14th, so he never really got to show that speed after that bad start on heat number 1, going many laps down early in the race. Now showing that muscle, working his way up into the top 5. and now into the top 4 is putting him into the 4th position over Johnny Eckert, who falls back into the 5th position in that pink T-Mobile Chevrolet. And going back through the field here, Gabriel Edwards working past Blake Barney. So, yeah, I still kind of wondering if Barney took the 2 tires or no tires, but that's definitely starting to show big time here now for that 00.
Yeah, he's losing a lot of ground. But take a look at this battle between 2 playoff contenders, Gabriel Edwards and Steven Schumann, the 52 and the 24. We've been eyeing these 3 for the most part, or at least within themselves. And I believe the driver of that number 3 machine, not the 3 machine, rather, or at least one of the other playoff contenders here, along with Gerald Campbell, that were mired back in this field, that they had this opportunity to be in the top positions when this race started. They're now mired back around the latter half of the top 10. You see Edwards just trying to fight. This is for 8th. David Carpenter also peeking his nose in. It is going to be a while between these 3, and they need a lot in terms of point standings in order to get themselves into the championship 4. Meanwhile, all the way up front, Vincent Isabella has been carving his way through the field. He's caught up to Dylan Gooden. 4-truck train right now with about 7 to go.
Yeah, and that 42 truck is sending it right now, trying to get up to the front, being aggressive as he can to try to get whatever he can as we're getting down to 7 laps to go here in heat number 2. Dylan Gooden still trying to work that outside arc, that groove, to kind of get that good run out of the corner. You see the 09 and 46 trying to stay about as low as he can to the white line on corner exit, and right now it's working for those 2. But right now it looks like they're kind of staying single file after Isabella tried to make that move on the 75 truck of Dylan Gooden, trying to set up those passes. But as time runs out, there's not going to be too many more opportunities, and you got to wonder, as you see the 46 truck just defending that bottom. We've seen Beers do it in heat number 1 as well, and maybe the only strategy that you can do is try to get as close as you can, and just maybe apply a little bit of that bumper. Time it right too, because you don't want the guy getting back to your bumper before the race is over.
You definitely don't. There's Brody Iracing up at the top of the track. He's going to let the leaders by, and even then, I'm surprised that we're seeing a relatively long run, and for these drivers here now with 5 laps to go, they're keeping themselves within crosshairs. They're about nose to tail between 1st and 4th place, and we haven't seen a move made yet by Marbello, Gooden, or Isabella to any of these drivers, or even the race leaders. So now the question begs, with about 4 laps to go, does Marbello start to push here, or does he know that his truck is not quite as quick in the dirty air, and that he has to adjust accordingly in order to try and get the best he can to win this race?
Yeah, he's got to make some adjustments, because even in heat number 1, he comes so close, but not quite able to make some of these passes that I think he wants to make. And I think if he got in that clean air and could stay up there, he's got a good enough truck to hold on to that lead. But here he's going to try to take that duck down low, unable to do so. You see Adam Tepe up into the 6th position, working away around the lap traffic of the 9 of Brody Iverson. And here, Vincent Isabella, now he's going to put himself into the top 3, it appears, as he's battling with that 75 truck of Dylan Gooden as they get close to maybe making contact, but they're diving down into turn 1, and the 75 truck will file right behind, and right behind that 42 truck of Vincent Isabella, as they're going to try to, after that, whoa, they're going all the way down below the white line. Marbello getting aggressive as we're coming down with 3 laps to go, trying to make a move, and you see Mandonza maybe getting a little squirrely, but able to hold on to that bottom as he's going to protect it all he can with 2 laps to go here in the Cystic Fibrosis Awareness 114 heat number 2. Who's going to win it? Is it going to be the 46 of Mandonza, the 09 of Marbello? It looks like Marbello's going to get a good run on the bottom again, but Mandonza's going to block. Down to the bottom, they make contact as they're able to keep it straight, and Vincent Isabella now coming up and trying to take that 2nd spot away as he's gaining ground on the 09. But, man, losing a little bit of ground after that contact, it's going to be the 09 of Marbello. Can he close in as we're getting down to the white flag lap? Here comes Vincent Isabella on the bottom of the 09 truck. That's going to hamper his chances for the lead. They're both washing up. They make contact. Washing up the track as the 09 move Vincent Isabella into the 2nd spot, as they come down into turn number 3. Oh, Marbello is going to lose a few more spots maybe before it's all said and done. But Richard Mandonza, he did what he had to do, block that white line as best as he could, and it's going to pay off as he takes heat win number 2 in the Cystic Fibrosis Awareness 114 here at Texas Motor Speedway. And wow, what a move for Mandonza. Had to block as best as he could. And he did so after making a little bit of contact with Marbello. And how about the 42 truck of Vincent Isabella working his way back up after that horrendous start in heat number 1, working his way all the way up into second. Maybe if he had a few more laps, might have had an opportunity to make a run for Mandonza. And Dylan Gooden, another top 3 for him, showing that power in that 75 truck. So, wow, that could have been a lot worse between the 09 and 46, but that was some pretty entertaining racing there to round out this second heat.
Yeah, it was, and for that 46, it was just a blocking maneuver all the way, even to the apron, where things got fairly bumper down there. That's what allowed the 09s to get fairly loose and lost all that ground, and by then, it was a sealed effort by the 46 of Mandonza. Made a win at a 1.5 mile early this season at Kansas and dominated that event. And after finishing second in the first heat, comes back to win this second 38-lap stint. And now the biggest question will lie, because this is a non-playoff driver winning this race, how the playoffs will shake up, who makes the championship 4 in the OSCA Truck Series for 2021.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these how the playoffs are going to shake out or shake up going into next week or 2 weeks from now at Kentucky. As some of the guys on that bubble, David Westergreen in that 2 truck, we talked about him having that rough heat number 2 after getting involved in that incident early on in the going. And guys like Vincent Isabella, I think, secured his spot, took advantage of some of the bad luck by Gerald Campbell. He might be close to getting that number 1 spot heading into Kentucky, so it'll be interesting to see how the points will unfold here coming up. As you see the unofficial results here for heat number 2, you see even Austin Beers rebounding up to the 7th position after losing all that track position on pit road. But with that, we'll get some of the interviews underway. First off, we'll bring in the guy who finished 3rd position. It's going to be Dylan Gooden in that 75 truck. And Dylan, first race we didn't see too much from you. And you shown that power in this heat number 2, working your way up all the way back to 11th, worked your way up into 3rd, and maybe had a shot to contend for the win here. Did you think you had a little bit more to maybe get another win here tonight?
Yeah, I just made one really big mistake in 1 and 2 that allowed Vincent to get underneath me, and at that time I'm just like, yeah, go. Hopefully I'll follow you and they'll wreck. And they tried, but I mean, we were strong. The first race I was gonna be up the same spot, and I just hit the wall trying to make a move on like 3rd and 4th. So it's just all about being consistent. And the second race we were strong and raced hard and was up there with them, and we almost had a shot.
Yeah, and I thought maybe for a moment getting a not sometimes it's good to be lucky and it's good to be good, but you showed maybe again you'd have a little bit of both. But you talked about hitting that wall in heat number 1. We've seen quite a few guys do that more so in heat number 1 than we've seen in heat number 2. Maybe talk a little bit about the struggles here at this new Texas configuration and maybe how easy it is to slip up and have that wall jump up and bite you.
Yeah, so this track is really tricky. At the end of that first run there in the first heat, I was tight and loose essentially at the same time. In turn 1 and 2, I was pretty tight, but I could tell if I got back to the gas quick, it would want to step out a little bit. And in 3 and 4, I could hold it almost wide open the whole time. But if you just move that wheel a little bit too much or just a little wrong, your back end would want to step out. And so you're just kind of on that edge, especially if you had a car or truck to your outside. That thing was so unstable. It's just so hard to clear someone that way. And when I hit the wall, I was just trying to poke my nose out and see if I could get around on the outside. I just moved it a little too far. I mean, it's super easy to do. I mean, at a track where you're on the throttle so much, especially in 3 and 4. It's just easy to ruin your day that way.
Yeah, and again, not the only one to have those unfortunate events happen to you. But with that, Kenneth, I'm gonna pass it along to you. Do you have anything for Dylan?
Well, Dylan, we've seen a lot of fantastic results out of your 75 Chevrolet Silverado. I think even coming from the short tracks and now to the 1.5 mile venues as well. I think your performance at Las Vegas also, and the one here tonight at Texas. And now coming into the final race of the season, Kentucky's also a 1.5 miler as well, but it also is a very different 1.5 miler, much like Texas was different than a lot of the other ones we've faced so far this season. What's going to be your mindset to try and have another consistent run in the Bluegrass State?
Well, we'll try to not wreck any of the championship contenders for one, and I'm just gonna go in there and race. I mean, I don't want to think about it too much. If you go in and stress and you just really think about it, that's when you make your mistakes. So just going in with a nice, easy mind, and if we've been running up front every single race, and I think we can do it there. So I'm just gonna go in, try to not cause any incidents, try not to get mad, and hopefully we'll come out on top.
Yeah, hopefully you'll come on top once again. Again, a good run here tonight in heat number 2. But before we send you off, any shout-outs you want to give out tonight?
Yeah, shout out to my girlfriend, Daddy, and my sponsor, Castle Motors, your friend in the car business. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for putting on the broadcast.
All right, yeah, thank you. And Dylan, good run again, and hopefully we'll see you in a couple weeks at Kentucky, putting on a strong showing.
Thank you.
That was Dylan Gooden, our third place finisher here in heat number 2. But next interview, we'll go back to the winner of heat number 1, and that's the 3 truck of the short track kid, Austin Beers. And although Austin, I anointed you the short track kid, but I almost got to think I got to start calling you maybe the half mile kid here, as you've been showing some muscle here. And even in heat number 2, looked like you were going to cruise away to another victory, but maybe some issues on pit road that kind of hampered your second heat.
Yeah, well, we had to change the battery right there. We had a alternator issue. So we had to stay on pit road a little longer.
Yes, it kind of hampered you, but able to work your way up into that 7th spot. But again, a strong showing, showing that muscle, working your way up from that 6th spot all the way to the front relatively quickly after getting that heat win number 1. A lot of guys don't like this configuration of Texas. We heard a lot of guys not looking forward to coming here after doing a lot of the interviews last week. Was this a track, again, you talked about in the past how much you do like the 1.5 mile tracks. And I know by the way you run, I might know the answer to this question, but as far as this new Texas is concerned, where does this kind of rank as your 1.5 mile tracks are concerned?
Oh, this is one of my favorites. I mean, the 3 races I've won, they're kind of all like the same style of racing where you're almost flat out the whole way around your draft. And it's like, I was saying during the race, it's like we got the Mario catch-up on when you catch up to the leader so quickly, and it worked out for us. And it just plays into my driving style, I guess. I just really like these races.
Yeah, and again, picking up another win, and alternator issue almost probably prevented you from maybe being the first driver in the OSCA Truck Series to pull off the daily sweep. Yeah,
I thought we maybe could have, but Big Kitty told us our battery was getting low, so we had to go in. We had to switch it out real quick. So shout out to Big Kitty. Still got up to 7th, past Big Kitty's owner there at the line. That was pretty fun. So maybe next week for the All-Star race we'll sweep there.
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll look forward to seeing that. But Kenneth, do you have anything for Austin here?
Well, at least I think in terms of a lot of the short track success that you have, you come to Texas and you at least try to dominate that second half of the race, and knowing that it was under the daylight versus this race that kind of made itself transparent at least under the nighttime. How did this truck seem to handle very differently under the day, and talking about the higher downforce and some of the low power? How was that sort of a challenge for you at a track like this?
Oh, it was a challenge in the beginning. Practice, we were struggling a lot, but when it turned to night, kind of figured it out and got to it, and just got the good runs. Worked my way up, and it worked out.
worked out indeed. Again, picking up another victory here tonight. Is it 3 or 4 for? I think it's 4 for you now, isn't it?
I think it's 3.
Or 3?
Yeah.
I was gonna give you another win.
I'd take it any day of the week.
All right. Well, with that, any shout-outs you want to give out here tonight?
Just shout out to Big Kitty. Big Kitty unfortunately fell asleep on the pit box in the first race, so didn't get to celebrate with us in victory lane. But shout out to Big Kitty, ID Racing. You guys, you put on a heck of a show once again. Vic Bloom for bringing this league to where it is. It's so much fun, with the guys we're racing with. It's a lot of fun. So thank you.
Thank you. And again, good run, Austin, picking up another victory, and hope to see you making some noise even next week in the All-Star race, and also the season finale in a couple weeks at Kentucky.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you.
Yep, you bet. That was Austin Beers, winner of heat number 1 here tonight at Texas. And next we'll bring in, actually go back again to the heat number 1, and that's going to be our 3rd place finisher who put on a heck of a show in heat number 1, and that's the 09 truck of Riley Marbello, as he showed muscle all night long, and looked like you maybe even had a shot to win at heat number 2. Looked like you had a shot to win both heat races here tonight, but fell just a little bit short. How hard was it to pass from that second position, especially with a lot of these guys kind of protecting that white line as much as they did?
I can't even express how hard it is to pass. It was crazy difficult. Believe me. I tried everything I could to get around the 46.
Yeah, it looked like you were going high-low and just nothing quite worked out. And you both you guys kind of did what you had to do there and made a little bit of contact. Did push you back into the 4th spot, but all in all, finishing 3rd and 4th in both the heats here tonight. Definitely showing some of that muscle, and it looked like you were even in contention to maybe pull off a sweep if it just could get a few more bites or a few more speed out of the corner and make those moves. But it looked like it was just hard for you to pass once you got up into that top 3. But you were in contention, I would say, in both races all night long. That had to feel pretty good.
Yeah, it did feel pretty good to finally be running up front here with a shot to win both races tonight. It was great.
Yeah, it had to feel pretty good. But with that, Kenneth, do you have anything for the for Riley?
Well, I mean, certainly a fantastic effort, and I think over the past couple of weeks, we've been watching the way you have developed in this series, especially with the competition, and tonight, I think you said it there, one of the best chances you've had at winning a race, and especially with the strong truck you had. I want to go back to that incident with Gerald Campbell there, just a little bit of contact, fighting for the race lead, or at least for position, and then you get a little bit of damage. Did that sort of affect your mindset a little bit of how your truck was going to handle? Were you kind of concerned about that, or did you know and understood what damage you had and kind of went from there?
I did know and understand what damage I had. I wasn't really concerned about that. What I was really concerned about, though, was the tires, because I had slid for about 4 to 5 seconds, so that probably knocked a few percentage bars off them. That's what I was worried about there, and it did affect the way my truck drove. It wasn't as fast in the end portion of that first heat.
Yeah, and it might have hampered you just a little bit, but I think we do got to say that it was very enjoyable watching the entertaining racing that you did provide out there tonight. That had to feel pretty good. But with that, any shout-outs you want to give out here tonight?
Yeah, I want to shout out Redemption Motorsports for fielding fast trucks tonight. Also got to thank Wyatt Dooling, owner of Snowman Studios, for giving me all my paint schemes. Also got to thank the Laugh Lap on Instagram. Go check out @the Laugh Lap on Instagram for some great NASCAR memes.
Ooh, that sounds like fun. I might have to check that out tonight. But Riley, again, congratulations on 2 top 5 runs here tonight. What do you think your chances are going into Kentucky in a couple weeks?
I'm not 100% sure. Kentucky is not one of my best tracks, so hopefully we can learn something there. Maybe be there for a shot to win.
We'll hope to see it, and hopefully you put on some entertaining racing as you did tonight. But again, congratulations on the good night tonight, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was Riley Marbello finishing 3rd and 4th in both heats here tonight. But up next, that truck that's right alongside him on the replay screen, that's going to be the 42 truck of Vincent Isabella. And Vincent, wow, what a power move you made here after it looked like appeared some issues to start off heat and win number 1, coming all the way back from 14th to 2nd. So I guess a tale of 2 heats for you tonight, Vincent. I guess kind of lead us through what happened in heat number 1 and how you charged through the field in heat number 2.
Yeah, on the grid, I was just getting situated, and I kicked the Ethernet cable out of the back of my computer, so it throughput me. So 5 laps down and never rebounded from it. And then, obviously, the second heat, I was just going for as many points as I could get with the playoffs on the line.
Yeah, and able to work your way all the way up into 2nd. And it appeared maybe, if there was 1 or 2 more laps, you might have had a contention to win the race. Do you feel like you might have had a shot to get into victory lane here tonight?
Yeah, definitely. I had saved my tires for the first half of that run there and just kind of kept the right front on it. And I feel like if I didn't come together with Riley, I would have been fine. I would have been on his bumper by turn 4.
Yeah, and just falling a little bit short. But as far as the playoffs are concerned, Gerald had a strong truck here tonight, but didn't have the luck. And maybe even with the Ethernet issue in heat number 1, as far as the luck is concerned, really at the end of the day, I think once things are all said and done, heading into Kentucky, you might have a shot at maybe even retaking that points lead going into the final race.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to end up being the points leader here going into the final race, but I'm excited for it. We got 2 weeks. Obviously, the All-Star race is next week, and we'll see. It's just going to take some luck at Kentucky because it's going to be just like this. It's going to be plate racing at 1.5 miles.
Yeah, and at least you're able to show some muscle here tonight. But with that, Kenneth, you got anything for Vincent?
Well, at least officially, Vincent, we can call you a member of the Championship 4 running for the title in Kentucky in 2 weeks' time. You get the leap over Gerald Campbell, and now you represent one of 2 ID Racing trucks, so 50% of the Championship 4 is occupied by your team. How is that going to be competing with Blake Barney? I know you guys have competed well throughout this entire season, but now that you guys are teammates running for a title against Gerald Campbell and Steven Schumann, how is that going to fare when we get to Kentucky in about 2 weeks?
Yeah, it'll be fun to race against him. Obviously, he's fast and been fast all season. When his computer decides to work and his internet stays on, he's obviously got Big Kitty up on the box, so he's got me out crew chiefed by a lot. But we'll go to battle.
Yeah, and Vincent, I just got to ask you. I know you've been under the weather here recently. You feeling any better?
Yeah, a lot better now. I mean, started eating again today, so that's a plus.
That's good. And hey, at least you had enough strength to muster up that second place run here tonight. So it was a good run for you. But before we send you off and let you recoup from your illness, any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, all of ID. Obviously Shane wasn't here tonight, but that's the co-owner of ID. We put a lot into this team, and all my teammates. Shout out to Blake, Beers for winning, and Big Kitty, obviously.
Yeah, Big Kitty getting some work done, having a strong night, leading you and the ID Racing crew to some strong finishes here tonight. But with that, Vincent, we'll let you get some rest, and hopefully you'll be 100% soon and be ready for the Championship 4 in a couple weeks at Kentucky.
Yep, have a good one.
Yep, you too. That's Vincent Isabella finishing in the 2nd position in heat number 2, but the man of the hour here to win heat number 2 and almost maybe pulling off the victory in heat number 1. That's Richard Mandonza, and Richard able to get into victory lane and maybe even just a little bit away from pulling off a sweep here tonight too, as you were right there to maybe make a move on Austin Beers in heat number 1. Was there even a thought in your head to maybe give that 3 truck the bump and run and maybe would have put you in a position to pull off the sweep here tonight?
Oh yeah, 100%, dude. I was ready to move him. It's just so it gets a little squirrely when you get up next to a truck, so I just couldn't really get to him, but I almost did. But yeah, the second race went really good, but yeah, I was fully prepared to send him up the track a little bit.
Yeah, and in OSCA, in the OSCA Truck Series, that's something you can see from time to time here, but wasn't able to get there as you said. But we talked to Riley Marbello, who was kind of having a good night here tonight as well. Kind of running with you in the top three for a lot of the night in both heats. How hard was it to pass, and how hard was it to even defend, as we seen you kind of hug that white line all the way around those last few laps to hold on to that lead?
Yeah, so passing here is you really can't do it on the outside. So you have any opportunity, if the guy in front of you leaves just a little bit of room, you have to stick your nose in there at every opportunity you get. Even if you get into them, I mean, you have to, because people, I mean, it's so easy to shut the door on somebody and get their truck either tight or loose. But in defending, you just stick to the bottom basically, and then they won't get you. And it's easier being out front because you have all that clean air. So it drives fine. Like, yeah.
Now, like when you're like battling back in the like second position, when you're trying to make those moves, especially going back to even heat number 1, and even as you worked your way up to the lead in heat number 2, how much does like the dirty air behind some of the traffic? How hard is that to maneuver? How does it make the car a lot tighter, or the truck?
Yeah, I can make it tighter, and the closer the person behind you gets, the looser your truck gets. It's pretty manageable though. So.
Yeah, I'm able to manage it out for a second and a first here tonight. So awesome run. But with that, I'll hand it over to Kenneth, see if he has a question for you.
Well, Richard, this was a dominating performance near the end, and you had a close shot in that first race. And I kind of think back to your performance at Kansas under some of the same conditions, kind of lower track temp, under the lights, and the way these trucks can handle. But I know those are two different 1.5 milers, but is there any comparison that you kind of took away from Kansas that maybe came into the way this race felt, or was this just a completely different beast that you were able to conquer?
Oh, no, it was very similar. Hugged the bottom. Tires didn't really fall off too much. It got a little tight if you ran the same line as you did on lap 1 if you did on 35. I mean, it wasn't really that bad. Just like Kansas. I mean, it's pretty much flat the entire time. So gets a little bit loose, especially if you get washed up in 1. The truck will step out. I was actually having trouble in practice. I'm like, oh no, dude, am I even going to be able to get around the track? But yeah.
Yeah, able to hook it up once you got to the show, and again, a strong run in both heats. But and again, Kenneth, asking you from what you learned from Kansas to bring here tonight, is there anything you think that you could take from tonight to bring into a couple weeks from now and the season finale at Kentucky?
I'm not sure. I have not driven Kentucky in a while, especially in the trucks. I've really only done cup stuff there. So, but it's pretty similar. In 3 and 4, you have to get off the gas and stuff in Kentucky like you do in 1 and 2 at Texas. So if it drives roughly the same, then I think I'll be okay.
Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you duke it out in a couple weeks at Kentucky. But with that, before we send you off and let you celebrate the awesome victory tonight and second place finish in heat number 1, any shout-outs you want to give?
Yeah, I want to give a shout-out to, I think it was Riley behind me in the 09 for not turning me. That was really good racing with him. And my buddy Josh, who was cheering me on for the whole race, as well as my girlfriend Rory. She was watching the whole time, so I appreciate her.
Yeah, again, yeah. My dog was even giving you a shout out for your victory here tonight. But again, congratulations, Richard. We'll let you celebrate here tonight, and we'll hopefully see you in a couple weeks at Kentucky.
All right, man. Thanks, guys. Awesome broadcast as usual.
All right, thank you. That was Richard Mandonza, winner of heat number 2, and again, a strong showing for that 46 truck. And going through the interviews, we had a couple of guys that were maybe just a little shy of pulling off the sweep. So strong performance from a lot of these guys that we've interviewed here tonight. And I think there might be a few things these guys will learn. Maybe we learned who the favorites might be heading into Kentucky. Who are you going to keep your eyes, Kenneth, as we head down into the Championship 4?
It's going to be probably Vincent Isabella. I think this comeback from Texas, although he had his struggles in the first race, he picked it well back up in the second one. I think this is going to give him a lot of momentum to ride on once we head to the finishing race in Kentucky. You see the playoffs right there. Those are the Championship 4 drivers already locked in. It's Isabella, and it'll be Blake Barney, Gerald Campbell, and Steven Schumann, who slips his way in through points. All 4 of those drivers going to duke it out in the Bluegrass State in 2 weeks' time. Wait, still, Mike, even if I have a pick, these are still a talented collection of drivers. I mean, you're looking at just how the performances of each of these drivers have been, even underdog performance with Steven Schumann in the 24, the way he's been able to put up and finish races here in this season. Then guys like Gerald Campbell dominating, then Vincent Isabella with a late surge in the season, Blake Barney with a handful of wins and a handful of great finishes as well. You cannot discredit each and every driver in this collection of Championship 4, and that means that it's going to be a wild duel when we get to Kentucky in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, I can't think I can't think of a better matchup for these final 4 guys heading into Kentucky, as the points will kind of reset here and they'll duke it out in a couple weeks at Kentucky Motor Speedway. But with that, we have a couple more events coming up here on the KBRN network. The first one's going to be the CRL Cup Series, race number 10 at Talladega. That's Friday, April 23rd at 7:25 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, as we've been kind of hyping up, the OSCA Truck Series finale at Kentucky Motor Speedway. That's going to be the SR Designs 135. And that will be Thursday, May 6th at 8:55 p.m. Eastern Time. But with that, for Vic Bloom and Dallas Myhand at the OSCA Truck Series and Charlie Baier at the KBRN Network, and for my colleague in the booth, Kenneth Bueno, I'm Mike Goodman. Thank you all for watching tonight's broadcast at Texas Motor Speedway, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks, Thursday, May 6th, for the SR Designs 135 at Virtual Kentucky's season finale. Thank you all and have a good night.